Welcome to the WazaMedia podcast. WazaMedia is a digital marketing agency that believes in the power of storytelling. We show businesses and individuals how to communicate with laser focus in a media-saturated world. Last episode, we talked about communicating concern for our customers and our entire customer base and regarding safety measures and COVID-19. If you missed that, you can check it out. Make sure you search WazaMedia, that's W-A-Z-A Media, on your favorite podcast platform to listen to podcast episodes from the past. So be sure to also follow us on social media. We post them there as well so you can stay up to date and you can talk back to us. We're listening. On this episode, we're continuing our four-part series about communicating with intentionality and strategy in this COVID-19 environment. Today, we're going to be talking about doubling down on digital marketing and experimentation. So I've got my co-host with me and co-owner of WazaMedia, J.R. Arce. Welcome.
Hey, Andrew, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you. So, yeah, doubling down on our digital marketing experimentation. I know a lot more time went by between our podcast recordings than we intended. So I should have also listened to our podcast again. I feel like
it's a really good podcast. I think you should listen to it too.
All right. But this is shaking things up. That's the main point of the idea of being experimental, especially if you're in a business where you've had to take a step back and not engage as much with your customer base, or it's just slower. See that as an opportunity, right?
Yes. With new technologies that are coming out and the way and the things and how we're communicating always presents new opportunities to communicate and to connect with your clients and your customer base.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. In fact, if you're following the principle from Great by Choice, which I highly recommend that book, Great by Choice, one of the principles is fire bullets, then cannons. And the idea is it's old shipping or, sailing term for when you're dealing with like an enemy or trying to find a ship in the dense fog. They would strap a rifle to the cannon and then fire the bullets until they heard it hit the side of the enemy ship. And so thus conserving resources as they're testing out or experimenting, with lower resources. But once they have a hit, they fired the big guns, meaning in the case of business, put in more resources. You've found something that works. So
that kind of reminds me of Gary Vee's book when it came out years ago, Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's the same principle as you start with small jabs and then you go ahead and land the big one. And that's where you nail it to your customer base or to your audience. So, but I like the cannons part because of our former backgrounds.
So what do you see as some bullet opportunities for folks that they could be trying right now, especially in the digital marketing space?
What I would recommend is start looking at things that are low in cost, but have a potential for high value later on. And the things that I'm thinking about are things that are related to your brand. If there's something, a platform, a method, a way that you can get your brand's message, your business message, your product out there at the least cost, why not try it? The risk is low, but the gains will be high. And so there's plenty of those opportunities for those to use those types of platforms, whether it's on your phone or if it's on a computer. Try them out. And I know, Andrew, we're going to talk about some of the things that we've used and that we've seen has been successful. So I know we're going to dive into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, in fact, I was actually just about to ask you, do you have a personal story of a time where you were testing out something and then found that it worked and dove in full force?
Well, one thing I'm actually still experimenting with myself, and it's only been out for maybe a month or so, is Instagram Reels, which is the it's almost like the stolen version of TikTok onto the Instagram platform. And this is not to bash these platforms or anything. It's just mostly observation, to include another observation in which Instagram took the stories platform from Snapchat and has made it successful. And now Instagram stories is very, very popular. Instagram kind of took the same playbook in doing so with TikTok, in combining music and all in sorts, to create its own TikTok clone. And so with me experimenting with something with this, number one, it's free. There's no cost to use it. And so I've been experimenting with how, number one, observing. How is the market using it? Looking at TikTok videos and Instagram videos, I'm seeing a lot of tutorials, definitely seeing a lot of people dancing. I'm not a very coordinated person, so I'm not trying that. But the tutorial part, in which between 15 and 30 seconds, um, on Instagram Reels, it's 30 seconds max, but to create a short, simple tutorial on how to do something, that is appealing to me. And I think that's definitely a way in how you can teach your customers about either a product, a service, or you need to inform them about something that's going on with your company.
Nice. And I'm assuming you're going in there, constantly checking, or not constantly, but regularly checking the data, because the data should, or the analytics should inform the decision making. On the flip side, I wouldn't say we fired bullets in this case, but gosh, it's 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. I helped the Marine Corps launch a web show, and it was a reverse of that. We were just found ourselves putting a lot of energy into something that we weren't seeing a lot of results from. We were just doing it and doing it because it just was the long-standing way of going about things. I actually used analytics to pitch the idea of going full-on digital-first thinking and recording of putting out news and information to Marines and families online through YouTube. And it was all based on the data showing that this is just not where our user base or not where our audience is. And the idea is still going on today. So, years later, it's in new format because they've continued to adjust. But the idea of staying digital first and online, getting the information out via video has remained since then. So you can also do the kind of experiment, or it's not really experimenting as much as taking this time to look at your history of what you've been doing. Is it working? Asking hard questions of yourself, and then brainstorm new ideas.
Andrew, would you say that our podcast is almost an experimentation? We're kind of firing bullets at our audience to see how well this goes. This is episode 5.
You just said you're shooting at our audience.
Oh, wait. We're shooting figurative bullets at our audience with our information, communicating things to you. So that's what we're doing to you.
Yeah, and so we welcome feedback, because we will adjust fire to continue that analogy and make it more useful. Because that's the ultimate goal, is we're wanting to put out information that is useful to businesses and business owners out there. Well, we've reached the end of this fourth in a series of podcasts. And so the idea of just being experimental. We welcome questions about your experiments, ideas that you're doing, and we can spitfire back and forth with you on our social media platforms. So hit us up there, and we welcome those responses. So thanks for listening to the WazaMedia podcast. I'm Andrew Milner.
I'm JR.
And if you found this podcast helpful, please share it with a friend, and please give us a review. It only takes a quick moment. Be sure to follow us on social media platforms at WazaMedia. That's WazaMedia, W-A-Z-A Media. Our website is waza.media. So all you have to do is put a dot in there and you'll find us. If you're looking for an agency to help your business go to the next level, visit our website. and we can schedule you a consultation. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next time for our next episode.